So the one thing on everyone's mind is Bitcoin going into October, or should we call it Uptober? Because you see a shift in sentiment during times of a bull market, during times of on risk, where October tends to be, on average, a really good month for crypto. So are we going to get that big pump in crypto? Because collectively, the two charts that need to tell us whether we're going to go on risk, it's the Russell 2000 and the total 3. But before we understand exactly whether they're going to get their breakouts, because they're previously testing their previous highs right now, once we get a breakout, once we get a close of those two assets, that's when you get your alt season rally. That's where you start seeing crypto explode. Before that happens, we need to understand exactly, is Bitcoin going to go further down? Or are we going to hold and start pushing up to the highs on Bitcoin? Because it is a possibility that we do pull back down to the 100,000. We're going to go over that scenario. But before we get into the charts, firstly, just thank each and every single one of you. It really shows that there is confidence in humanity. My poor mother, she died last Friday. I haven't been able to bring content to you, but all I've got from you guys is support on YouTube, support in Discord. And I tell you something, you've helped me along the way more than you think. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. And rest in peace, Mum. This one's for you. And we're going to start with Bitcoin. And one thing that I will say is all of your altcoin requests, I have listed them out. I'm going to try and go through them systematically over the next few days, but it is sporadic, guys. Sometimes I'll be able to bring more content, sometimes less content, because we've got a lot going on as a family in the background. But I'm going to try and be here for you, the same as what you've been here for me, because you don't understand all of them comments, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments. That is in my mum's memory, and that means a lot to me. So there's 4 types of comments that you get in YouTube, and this goes with cryptocurrency. It's speculative, it's high risk. Sometimes people are wrong, sometimes people are right, and we're looking at data based on probabilities and making predictions which we think that are going to happen going forward. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. The aim of the game is to be right more times than you're wrong and to have a higher risk to reward. So ultimately, that's what we're looking for, and we're looking for whether Bitcoin's going to make another push to the downside, because it is a possibility that we could do something like this, where you've got a 1, you've got a 2, and you've got a 3. An ABC equal measured move. How do we know that this swing is relative to this swing? We measured it in the last video you've seen using a trend-based fib extension from its high to its low, back to its lower high. We'd seen that was 1 to 1. That wasn't just 1 to 1. That was a key psychological round number at 100,000. These are big sticking points. The more round the number, the bigger the sticking point. So that 100,000, if we get further downside, that is going to hit your altcoins hard in the short term. So that's what I'm looking for, because it is the end of September. We are going into October tomorrow, and it is going to be a rocky few days while the market's undecided. There's people cashing in at the end of the month, people taking profits, and there's people looking forward how to position themselves going into October. So there's a little bit of indecision in the market at the moment. 100,000, it is an option. Do I think it's going to happen? What we're going to do is we're going to stick our a fib retracement on this time. Fib retracement, and you can see here, you've had a bounce at the 786. We've broken through the 68.2, and you've got your 382 here. This is going to be a key barrier to overcome in the short term. That's 113,950. We marked it out here before, 13,866, pretty much to the T. We said that once we've broken above there, expect Bitcoin to continue to this next level here, 117,979. Nothing's changed on that front. That's exactly what we're still waiting for. Waiting for Bitcoin to hold this 38.2, waiting for it to hold it as support, move up to the 61.8. Once you can start taking out, these highs, then you see the acceleration. That's what we're looking for on Bitcoin. So the dominance, what kind of story is the dominance telling us? Dominance isn't telling us too much of a story, apart from potentially it could make another bounce to the upside, a rejection here, and another push to the downside. Now, what would that look like on the Bitcoin chart if we got something like that happen on dominance? Something like this, maybe. Something like this, maybe. What we've just spoken about. A, B, C, push to the downside. So we are at do or die at the moment. If we don't hold this level, 113,866, in the short term, there's a potential that this move could play out down to the psychological 100,000, down to the ABC equal measured move. And then that's what I'm looking for going forward. So if we do get a projection, what we can do, and we're looking for an extension, we could just stick on our extensions, 1618, we could stick our 1272, and then we can look where that takes us. So it is good to prepare for the upside, for the downside. You have got the 1272 sat at 129,270. You got the 1618 sat at 135,362. So waiting for Bitcoin, Bitcoin can actually slow down and just hover around these levels here while the altcoins pump. We're going to get an indication of that by looking at the next chart, which is the total 3. So we look at the total 3. What are we waiting for on the total 3? We're waiting for a break, waiting for a close of 1.16 trillion. Once we get that, then I'm scaling out the market, scaling out the market. I'll be DCAing out of the market, the same as I was DCAing in the market over a period of time. So what that does is collectively lets me average my position out while keeping skin on the game in case we get any kind of parabolic move. So it is all about risk management, and anyone that thinks that they can buy a bottom and sell a top, if you do that, guys, you might as well put a lottery ticket on, and you've probably got more chance winning that lottery than actually picking the bottom and picking the top. Unfortunately, that's not possible for many people, other than lucky people. So Russell 2000, this is going to be the big one. Why am I more concerned about the Russell 2000? Look, when you look at the market cap of the Russell 2000 in comparison to the market cap of the total 3, this thing wipes the floor with it. Absolutely wipes the floor. This is where the liquidity is as far as on risk is concerned. And guess what? We're pushing up, and we're actually testing this once again. Once we get that break, once we get the close of the previous all-time high of the Russell 2000, then we'll get a break and we'll get a close of the previous all-time high of total 3. Then you're going to get your on-risk rally. Then you're going to start seeing pumps in altcoins. So the dollar, how far is that? We're looking at rejection on the dollar. You see, we're getting a rejection at the dollar. We want further downside here. If we get further downside there, people are spending their dollars because this is the USDT dominance, the dominance of the US dollar tether within the whole of the crypto market. More this goes down, the better it is for crypto. People spend their altcoins. People spend their stable coins. They go into altcoins. When they go into altcoins, it increases the market cap of the altcoins. It reduces the market cap of the stable coins. And then you start seeing pushes to the upside when we start getting that confidence. Just have a quick look at the S&P. You can see we're in an ascending wedge. Remember what happens when you're in an ascending pattern? Ascending pattern is actually bearish. So this is bearish. Expect a further move to the downside. So S&P overheated. If we got a further move to the downside, where's the next support? Down here. 6,216. So if something like this played out and we lost this, we come back down to test the start of this pennant here, or the ascending wedge. If that happened, what would happen to Bitcoin? If that happened, this would happen to Bitcoin. This would happen to Bitcoin. What would happen to dominance? We'd get another push up in dominance. S&P's dropped USDT. What would you get with that? You'd probably get a bit of strength. You can see why we look at these collectively. What would happen? You get strength in the dollar. It's not what we want. Total 3, you get a pullback in total 3, not what we want. Russell 2000, all of this for nothing, pullback, next support base. So you can see if we get further downside on Bitcoin, if we get further downside in the S&P, how it's going to affect these on-risk indices. And one thing that I will say, guys, that I'm going to be with you all the way. So make sure that you jump into the Discord group because I'm going to be following this because it is an indecisive time within the market where you're saying we're at the end of the month. We don't know how people are going to act at the end of the month. We don't know how people are going to act going into next month. All we can do, look, prepare for both scenarios and understand exactly how that's going to impact altcoins, how it's going to impact the market collectively. If you did enjoy this video, guys, let me know in the comments. Sorry if it wasn't as active as what it usually is, but I'll see you guys in the next one.